Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew, and welcome back to episode 12 of the Whatta podcast. What? No way. We made it to 12 episodes. You know how many that is? It's like 3 months worth of podcast. Is it good? Sometimes. That's just how it goes, you know? It is what it is. But yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting me. I know that there's some people that listen more regularly than others. I know that I don't get that many listens on it at all. And that's okay. I'm fine with that. Because you know what? I just enjoy getting to take this 40 to 55 minutes to just talk about whatever floats my boat. My boat floats pretty well, if I do say so myself. Okay, these are all the worst things that I could start off with. My boat floats well? What does that even mean in this context? That's as bad as having to rethink about the big Bing Bong video. Bing Bong! What would you say to Joe Biden right now? Hey, sexy. Ariana Grande, come back to Brooklyn. Where's Coney Island? Is that Brooklyn? Take a ride on the Cyclone. Oh, what an odd video. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm so sorry. I've done nothing but confuse you endlessly. If you do know what I'm talking about, I'm so sorry. You've had to hear me butcher like a quarter to 50% of that video just now. But it is what it is. Yeah, no. It is Sunday, December 5th. This will be coming out Monday, December 6th. And I'm sort of vibing. It is... I'm about to enter finals week for the semester, which is crazy because it's a real finals week and it kind of has me stressed out quite a lot. I didn't have one last year, technically, because everything was online. I was at home at this point. They were like, leave for Thanksgiving break and don't come back until next semester. That's what they did last year. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then this year, they were like, leave for Thanksgiving break and then come back for a week and a half. And then leave for a month and then come back. And I was just like, why do you keep doing this to me? This is so dumb. No offense to Thanksgiving break, right? But I just think it's dumb. I really do. I think it's dumb. College-wise, you know? In the real world, perfectly fine. But as someone who's schooling, I think it's so stupid to just get this week off to then come back and finish off like lectures for a week and then the very next week is finals. Do you know how momentum destroying that is? You're chugging along to the end and then all of a sudden with 2 weeks left, you just take a week-long break? Do you know how not aimed at school I am? I'm so not aimed. You know what I've been thinking about? Playing Monopoly. I'm supposed to play Monopoly tomorrow. I'm so excited for Monopoly. I have put no thoughts into studying for the midterm I have on Wednesday. The one and the only midterm I have. I've also been writing a paper, and that's kind of going okay. I should be doing that right now, but I needed to record the podcast because I refused to do this later in the evening. But also because I woke up late. And that one's kind of on me, but I digress. So I've kind of just been vibing, you know, existing. This whole past week has been weird. Like class-wise, like informational-wise. But it's also been kind of fun, you know. I finally finished up the Lost Boys trilogy. For those who either just didn't care to listen to the other ones and somehow tuned into this one, or for those of you who were listening and remember, I'm helping out a friend write up some project stuff. Excuse me, I did not mean to burp. I know you guys probably didn't hear it, but I'm acknowledging it anyways, because that's the kind of camaraderie that we have, right? We're so close, you know. You physically cannot see my face, but you know I'm there. You know, I'm in your ears. I'm in your head. That was the weirdest little tangent because of a burp. Anyways, I'm helping a friend out with a project they're doing involving the Lost Boys, so I had to watch them all so I had an understanding. And I watched the first one. If you've never seen the first one, 1987, it's one of those classic time capsules of the 80s. Literally, there's no other way to do the Lost Boys, essentially. There's supposedly a remake that Warner Brothers has in the works, which is insane to my mind, Because I don't know how you could remake it for the better. You know? Like, when you remake a movie, there's one of two reasons. You want to do it better, or you want to bring it to whatever the modern times is, like whatever the current times are. And you can't do the OG Lost Boys any better than it already was. That is a fact. All right, that's just a fact. It is such a beautiful little time capsule. Okay, we have glistening saxophone man. All right, we have cry little sister, needle dropping while a human being diddles a vampire. Okay, that movie is dripping with 80s sexiness, and you can't top that. What's a movie? What's a current Lost Boys in 2022 gonna do? 2022? When is that set to come out? Actually, I want to Google it. I know they've been in like the talks for it, and whatnot, and they have like actors signed on now. Yeah, they've got Jaden Martell and Noah Jupe, who I know. One of those, I think. I know Jaden Martell because he was over. He's over from Are you the Stranger Things boy? Jaden Martell. Are you that one boy? No. No, he's not. He's the boy from It. Okay. All of these young boys, they kind of look alike to my brain now. No, he's the one from It. Who did he play? Bill. Oh, Stutter Kid. That's so mean. That's the only way anyone's gonna remember who I'm talking about. No one remembers those kids' names. I didn't even know that kid's name was Bill. I just knew he was the kid with the stutter. But he's from It. Okay. That's Jaden Martell. This other kid, though? Who are you? Noah Jupe? What kind of name is that? No offense, kid. You're British? Who are you? A Quiet Place. Oh, are you the son? I think he is. I think he's the son from A Quiet Place. Possibly. Okay. Well, at least then I know him for something. I just didn't know his name. Because also, Noah Jupe? Really? Okay. Anywho. So yeah, they're in talks to be in this Lost Boys remake. Yeah, modern day take. I'm reading through this article right now, so Jonathan Entwistle will direct with Randy McKinnon. Okay. Yep, Joel Schumacher did the original. We all love the original. I didn't know Alex Winters of Bill and Ted fame was in the original, but he is. And then he is murdered very quickly. Yes. Any other news for this remake? Please? Come on. Anything else? Nothing? Nothing. No information. None at all. I wish I had more, but I don't. But anyways, yeah, you can't really do anything to the OG and have it feel good, because it won't. What's 2021 gonna give us? Just woke people. That's it. There's nothing else exciting about the current time to go and put a Lost Boys movie in. It's so beautifully drenched in its time. But the sequels, hey, if you guys want to go and make another, if you want to pull like a Ghostbusters Afterlife or a Halloween 2018 and not have a remake, but just a sequel, like a good, genuine sequel that picks up after the original, I'm down for that. I'm down to clown with that one. That'd be kind of cool because 2008's Lost Boys, The Tribe, and 2010's Lost Boys, The Thirst are just so the third one's better than the second one. Whether that's because we re-centered our focus on Edgar Frog and Alan Frog and just the Frog Brothers in general, or if it's because we just didn't have the Pooey kids from the second one. I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you this. Both of those sequels are so horny. They're so horny. For no good reason, right? Do you know how many boobs I saw in Lost Boys, in both The Tribe and The Thirst? So many boobs. There were so many more in the third one, but those weren't horny boobs. The second one gave us horny boobs, and that was what made it uncomfortable. 100%. It also gave us the worst dad jokes I've ever heard, known as quips. Not all quips are dad jokes. Some quips are quite funny, but sometimes quips just do not land. All right. Somebody order the steak. Hey, Corey Feldman, I know you've been having quite a time right now in the world due to a lot of things that have just been going on. And I want you to know, I'm sure everyone who loves you is rooting for you, bud. But what were those quips, man? What were those quips? It's so insane. So insane. And what was the voice you were doing, my guy? What? I know that Edgar Frog had like a little bit of a deeper voice in the first movie. But for Corey Feldman to just roll out in the two sequels, talking like this all the time. This is me, Edgar Frog, and this is how I talk. Who ordered the steaks? Pop goes the weasel. Hey, that's not how real people talk. That's how someone standing at 5'5" talks because they want to feel cool about themselves. I don't know who okayed that voice behind the scenes, but they shouldn't have. They should have been fired. That's a 100% fact. Oh my word. Whew. Sorry, my brain blanked out really hard. Anyways, yeah, the second one, it's horny for no good reason, right? We get like what feels like three back-to-back sex scenes in that film for no good reason. Hey, sorry, did you want to watch the Lost Boys sequels? Don't. I don't care if I spoil these. They are straight to DVD and have been out for over 11 years now. So if you weren't going to get around to it now, you were never going to get around to it. So sorry. But they've got brother of Kiefer Sutherland, who was in the original movie as David, who like one of the main vampires, right? He's in here as a vampire. And I have a lot of gripes about how they go about the vampires in this movie. Because first off, they've made them weird. Like this weird amount of immortal. Where I just feel uncomfortable about it. Like, first off, this group is young. The OG group from like the first movie, they'd been around for what was approaching almost a century. It wasn't there yet, but they had like 2 decades left to go to get there, right? So they'd been around for a while. They'd lived through a lot. But these ones, we know for a fact, based on some dialogue in the movie, have only been vampires for maybe like a couple years, maybe months even. There's no good amount of time for it, but we know because the main character has interacted with this entire group who are now vampires before they were vampires, because he's like a surfer, and he met like he was just an awful human being apparently, because it was 2008, and for some reason every movie from 2001 to 2009 needed to have the worst human beings ever as the main characters for their horror movies. And so he was just a terrible human being to them. And then they became vampires. Like, they weren't vampires beforehand, so they have a grudge, which would have made more sense. They were just people who then held a grudge and then got to be vampires and got to deal with it. And it's so odd because, like, about the immortality thing, like, one of their, like, constant weird joke gags is that they, like, stab each other, right? They'll just do it whenever and then just laugh about it. Because I guess they heal. They can heal from it. But then I was like, well, then what is what, what, what? I was like, why would you do this? Like, there's a point where one of them, like, he gets gutted. And, like, he's holding his intestines in and he's yelling at, like, the other guy. And he, like, falls in a bush and everything. And I was like, is this supposed to be funny? Is this what... Do they think they're funny doing this to each other? Because they did it at, like, a party. They freaked out all the party goers. Because, you know, a man just got gutted in front of them. But he was fine because he's a vampire. But, again, he's got intestines. Does he have to, like, shovel those back in? Like, how does that work? There's so many questions. Because, obviously, it doesn't just, like, slurp itself back up and then heal him. No, like, he's got to, like, hold it in place or something and then heal. But then how does the healing work? Like, once he holds it in place and his, like, you know, skin closes up, does it... What does it do? Do his organs just reset? Do you understand the difficulties of what has been brought to the table by this image? And then later on, like, he stabs through one of his friends and he's while they're playing like Gears of War, which was funny because they had to get, like, licensing for that, and so it's in the credits. And I was like, oh, that's funny. They're playing Gears of War and he stabs through the one Jamaican dude because, yeah, that's the kind of group we have. We have a guy named Kyle, and then there is a guy who I didn't learn the name of, but who just looks like slightly larger Kyle, no offense. So we have Kyle and Big Kyle, and then there's a Jamaican guy, and then there's the main vampire played by not Kiefer Sutherland. He stabs through this Jamaican guy and he's like stuck to this chair, and like it looks like it hurts him, like it, because he doesn't just get up from it and like pull it out. Like it like causes him pain when he tries to get up from it. So I was like, what have we done to these vampires, right? I have so many questions. They also changed up how they die. Like, as we saw with Horny Vampire earlier, the booby lady that I mentioned, because she gets pierced on antlers, because they definitely didn't. Chekhov's gotten that right at the beginning when they put them on the wall. But she gets stabbed by these antlers. All of these vampires bleed so much blood, and I would like to go back to OG Lost Boys vampire blood, which is like glitter. It's very funny. It's like goopy glitter, essentially. Give me more of that blood and less of this regular human blood that all of the vampires seem to have from there on out. Oh, goopy glitter blood. This whole episode is about to be about the Lost Boys, and I'm quite fine with that. Because I'm enjoying this dissection, right? And oh, oh my word. She turned to stone. The booby vampire who got pierced on the antlers, after bleeding profusely for a bit, she turns to stone and then explodes, right? And they make it seem like this is a big deal, like this is how all the vampires go. But none of them go like this anymore. For the entire rest of the movie, every time a vampire is killed, they don't turn to stone and then explode. And sometimes they do explode. And like I've got other questions too, because they make this big deal about the only way to kill a vampire, right? You either have to use holy water and do some stuff, or you have to pierce them through the heart, right? It doesn't matter what it is. In the world of the Lost Boys, it doesn't need to be a wooden stake. It could even be a blunt object, so long as it pierces the heart. Which you would think bringing up the idea that it could be a blunt object would be so much cooler. Like they would do something with it, and then they don't, which I'm not surprised by. I'm not surprised in one bit. But no one turns to stone, and I was like, okay, this is kind of a cool effect. And then they never use it again. And then it's not even brought up in the third one either, which I'd like to address the Pop Goes the Weasel joke. That, you know, sorry, let me give that voice. Pop Goes the Weasel. Because he tosses like a sack of garlic, which I guess garlic in this world does have some form of effect on the vampires, although we never see it. It's mentioned casually in the first one, but there's a whole set of rules in the first one that are also laid down, which, hey, go watch the first one. That one's actually good, so I won't spoil it. But we never see it used again. But he tosses this garlic. The guy's like, you missed. And then he shoots him in the head with a water balloon of holy water that just fully pops this dude's head off. Like, clean up, it explodes like he was hit by a shotgun. I was like, hey, that was a balloon filled with holy water that you shot at a high speed. Not enough to make explosion. No, sir. And, like, that guy's just good, I guess? Like, he's just done. He's just done, apparently, because he never comes back. Oh, no, he's gone. Sorry, that guy's dead. And I think that was Kyle. Because they killed larger Kyle earlier. And do you know what? He got pierced and then didn't turn to stone and just kind of died. With, like, a whimper. It is what it is, I guess. Except it isn't, because it's dumb. Where's the consistency? Give me the consistency. That's all I want. Alright, man? That's all I want. Is just a little bit of the consistent. A little bit of the consistent. I took off my glasses to make that joke, and no one could even see that. What was the point? Why'd I take them off? Okay. What's the next part? Oh, yeah. So, by the way, the whole plot of the second one comes into play because of the same reason for the first movie. It's just the first movie again. It's like, oh my gosh, they're trying to turn my sister into a vampire. Duh. And the sister, in her midst of being stuck as a half vampire, because you're not a full vampire until you drink human blood, like after you've been turned. She goes about trying to drink blood from this one guy, right? Who serves no purpose to the plot, but is apparently important to the plot. Like, he shows up early on and awfully flirts with the sister. And I forgot their names. I think it's like Chris and Nicole is the brother and sister combo of this movie, right? And, like, he flirts with Nicole. That's what I'm going to call her. We're going to assume that's her name. And is like, oh, yeah, this place is like a murder capital, so I just want to, a lot of girls disappear, so just be careful, right? The worst way to try and flirt with a woman. But we learn later, right? after she woos him, right? Because he tries to talk to her at the party, and he gets rejected by some of the other vampires. They're like, go away. So she could be, turned into a half vampire and whatnot. And she gets turned to a half vampire, and then she calls him over, like, the next night to what he thinks is for, like, a little date. And then it looks like it's about to be a little horny. And then she was going to go drink his blood, and then the brother runs in and treats it like, hey, were you about to do my sister? Which, whoa. Why were you guys in the public of the main space of this house? And not in a room, but that's besides the point. He runs in, he stops it, and informs the sister about the fact that she is a vampire that was about to bite that guy. And there's something important that occurs that hurts me deeply when you learn some other information. In this moment, before the brother runs in, right, she goes to take her top off. And she does. You don't see anything. And I was like, they definitely showed that other girl's boobs. What's different here? Oh, I'll tell you what's different. She's 17. The character is 17. Hey, movie, we didn't need to even see her remove this top. She could have kept it on. And you know what? Then we would have never had to address the fact that you made this character 17 and then made her do that. But instead, here we are. Here we are, movie. Who directed this movie? I don't actually care to know, because then I'll just feel grossed out. Because that's gross. Hey, 17-year-old character, don't make them do that. They could have kept their clothes on and still had the same moment of her almost biting this dude who she supposedly likes, even though she's met once. And apparently he just made a great enough impression on her to not only live till the end, but to be the deciding factor after he's caught by the other vampires and they bring her to turn her into a full vampire, right? They decide this is the moment. this is the person they want her to, like, kill and drink the blood of. And she's like, I can't do it. I know him. And it's because she likes him. Why does she like him? They literally interacted once, and then the second time they tried to interact, she tried to murder him while also trying to diddle him. Stop. Just stop. Stop right there. There's also this weird section of, like, initiation for Chris where they're like, hey, come do this thing with us. And they harass some cops and get them to chase them down on their combination of motorbikes and skateboards, and then cause them to, like, crash. And there's never any repercussions for that because, hey, Chris was in there earlier when he was like, my sister's disappeared. Please help me. And of course, every movie cop was like, she might just be out partying, dude. It's been a day. That's not what the cop sounds like. He's a pork-belly man with a basically a handlebar mustache. And they harass the cops, and then there's no repercussions about it. Like, none at all. Like, hey, you definitely recognized Chris. You guys made eye contact. You also can definitely recognize the rest of that group. Duh. But no, nothing comes of it. That's enough. That's all I want to talk about for the second movie. There's a lot there. The third movie. Now, the third movie does something interesting, right? And besides the fact that they try to make an army of vampires, that's the main aspirations of this main character, DJX. You also learn that the story we've been being fed throughout the film in the third one is BS. Edgar thinks he's helping this British lady who is a stand-in for Stephanie Myers, right? Who I called Amazon Stephanie Myers when I was talking to my friend. Because they pulled, like, a model to play her. No offense to Stephanie Myers, but, you know, this isn't Walmart Stephanie Myers. This is Amazon Stephanie Myers. So they had Amazon Stephanie Myers be like, these vampires have taken my brother, because she's British. I'm not just being mean. She's British. They've taken my brother, and I need your help, Edgar. Save him. And they save him at the end. And then there's this really gross moment where she just makes out with him. And we're all like, what the fuck? Turns out it's not her brother. Turns out he is the alpha vampire, right? Whoa. DJX wasn't going to use him as a sacrifice to turn hundreds of other people into vampires. He was going to take his power and become the alpha vampire. Whoa. That was a cool concept. They butchered it because, one, why was this little British twink the alpha vampire? Hey, go Google an image of the alpha vampire. His name is Peter from the third Lost Boys movie. This is The Thirst. And you'll be like, why was this guy the alpha? Huh? The alpha? Of, like, all time? No. Stop it. You're telling me that's the man over all vampires? Really? Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Oh, there's a lot to the third movie that I'm not going to talk about. Because there's a lot. There's a lot to it. There are some awful characters, but there are also some good ones. Like, obviously, Amazon Stephanie Myers bites the dust eventually because, you know, she wasn't a good guy. She was pretending to be a good guy. There was this TV show dude who's like, oh, you know, I'm here because I'm paid to be here, and I'm going to do what I need to do. And he eventually bites the dust in probably the coolest fashion out of all the characters, because the third movie leans back more into being a comedy a bit, like a dark comedy, whereas the second movie was just horror and was very bad. And after he does all his dumb fighting with this vampire that he does not believe to be a vampire, he gets his heart ripped out of his chest. And I was like, you deserve that. You deserve that. There was also some more Edgar quips. What did this man say? He takes a record, breaks it, uses it, not the jagged edge from what he broke, but the smooth edge. Somehow cuts this vampire's throat and then stabs them with a stake. But his quip with the record portion is vital. still shreds. And I laughed so hard. Like, I paused the movie because I was laughing so hard. Because I was upset that quip was actually funny. Like, Pop Goes the Weasel and who ordered the steak, those were so generic. I was like, there's nothing fun here. But this was such a nice, beautiful little callback moment to the first movie, which I think only has one quippy death, right? At least to my brain's remembering knowledge, which I watched this at the very beginning of Thanksgiving break, which wasn't too long ago, but to then watch 2 more movies and then also 3 other movies and a whole bunch of shows between then and now, and also studying for finals, my brain is fried. But I do remember that quippy quote being death by stereo, which was funny. It was funny. They shoot an arrow through one of the vampires. He sticks to like a big, like one of those stereo sets, and like it electrocutes and fries him until he like dies. And it's quite fun to then get the death by stereo quip. So to then get vinyl still shreds, pretty solid. Alan is back in this movie. Alan is nowhere to be seen in the last movie. In fact, the only returning character from the original movie in the second one is Corey Feldman as Edgar Frog, until Corey Haim shows up at the very end for an end credits stinger, and he's suddenly a vampire. We get no context for it at all, and then he's dead. He dies at the end of the stinger when it cuts to black. And then, yeah, they talk about it a bunch in the third one, but we don't ever see him again because Corey Haim himself passed away in 2010, which is when the third movie came out. So, yeah, so we only had Edgar in the second one, and then we had Edgar and Alan in the third one, in which we got the worst opening quip in 2005. That's right, they flash back to 2005 in the third one. Who would have wanted to go back to 2005? No one. No one, but they did. And we see vampires in the Senate. And it's so weird. And we see Alan get turned into a vampire, which was supposed to be a thing from the second movie. But they changed it up. And we get the whole, what is it? Something about, holy grandpa monster. It's bad. It's bad quips. But it's an okay film because it presents some interesting ideas that never, ever get any better than this. And it's just so sad because the first one's so beloved, and then the second one is just so bad, and then the third one, and it's, yeah. And we've got long-haired Edgar, and I'm like, hey, I don't like this. I don't like long-haired Edgar, not at all. Give me short-haired Edgar again. Why would you ever have long hair in the business of fighting vampires? That's how you get that stuff snagged. That's it's why no one's got long hair in the military, for the same reason. It's so that it can't get snagged. Pretty certain, right? That's a thing, right? Someone's gonna tell me I'm wrong. And if I am, then I'm so sorry, but like, yeah. I left my water across the room, and I don't want to get up to get it because you guys will just hear me walk. And I don't want you to hear me walk. Third movie. Man, I'm just kind of whispering to myself suddenly. I was just like, whisper, whisper. Ooh. Oh my gosh, the silence is deafening because I really just blanked out so hard. I just blanked so hard, so aggressively, and you guys were all witness to it. Because I don't know where else to go with this statement. But, yeah, so I had to watch that god-awful second one, and then the slightly better third. Oh, that's the other thing. The third one also introduces this whole new concept to the Lost Boys, which was definitely ripped from the fact that it came out in the midst of the Twilight craze, which I think is why those movies came out when they did. You know, Twilight started in 2008 and then ended in 2012. Fun fact, if you didn't know, which you might think, wow, 4-year span? No, 5. It has a 5-year span. Because it had one movie each year. 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. I saw them all. You know what 10-year-old me did? You want to know what 10 year... I think I might have been 9, actually. 9 going to be 10, whenever the movie came out. Did in 2011. Saw that one in theaters. That's right. I saw Breaking Dawn Part 1 I'm switching gears to a different vampire franchise right now because I'm tired of talking about Lost Boys on the podcast. I saw Breaking Dawn Part 1 opening night in theaters because I tagged along with my older sister and her boyfriend, who is now her husband. Love that man dearly. He's a great dude. I went and I saw that movie in theaters. And, hey, 9-year-old me, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? That movie? Not for a 9-year-old. Have you ever watched the events of that movie? Because I'll tell you the events. I'll tell you the events of the series. First movie, vampire v. vampire. Okay, there are evil vampires. Whoa. Second movie, hey, there are evil vampires. I'm kidding. No. That's not the second one. The second one is there are no evil vampires. It's just Jacob Black being a little butthole and Bella Swan having to go save Edward and then reveal herself to the Volturi. It's dumb. So there aren't evil vampires yet, but we're introduced to later on evil vampires, right? And then the third one, right? Whoa, get this. Evil vampire army. Oh, wow. Evil vampire army in 2010? That's right. Same exact plot as Lost Boys 3. And no one's gonna talk about it. Hey, this character tried to build a big old vampire army and then failed. Wow. Oh, aren't these movies a little too similar all of a sudden? Except there's no werewolves. Except there are by the end of the third Lost Boys. Ooh. But yeah, so we've got fighting. And then the fourth one is like, hey, what if we honeymoon on an island? What if we get married, right? What if you, high schooler, who's known me for like a year and a couple months, marry me, and we go to a little honeymoon island and have literal bed-breaking boingo action, right? Just a couple of boingos that immediately gets you pregnant with a vampire baby. Whoa, vampire baby? What are we gonna do about that? Ha! And then the rest of the movie is devoted to the accelerated growth of this vampire baby in your tum-tum, and then you becoming a vampire. And it's very gross. And there's definitely a moment where you fall and your knees shatter. And the whole audience had to hear it. And 9-year-old me was experiencing that shit in a movie theater filled with a bunch of teenage girls who screamed when the opening credits rolled. And I yelled out, "Shut up!" And my brother-in-law looked at me and went, whoa, you can't do that. They'll kill you. What? Do you know how wild that is to hear? As a 9-year-old in a movie theater, like, ayo, don't yell at these teenage girls to shut up because they will murder you. Holy wow, that broke my brain there as a child. And it sits with me. It sits with me for forever. Just, don't do that, they'll kill you. Absolutely wild. Why did you guys like Twilight so much? Why did I like Twilight so much? Anyways, that's what that whole movie is. It is literally... starts with a wedding, ends with a rebirth. Because, Bella straight up dies and then has to get turned back into a vampire. And it's so weird. So weird. And then they spend the whole 12th movie setting us up for this really cool, dramatic fight. That doesn't happen. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. And it's really upsetting. And the only fun thing to come out of that is when you're watching the movies again with someone else who hasn't seen it, and they're watching all their favorite characters die, and they yell at you, and they just go, F you. They didn't say F. Only to then witness that it was all a dream, and they have to turn back to you and be like, I'm so sorry. And I just get to be there like, hey, This was the funniest moment of my life. You were so devoted, so upset. You were so ready to yell at me, and now here we are. And you just have to accept your dumb moment real quick. That's all. That's all you've got. What you gonna do about it? And it was hilarious. That's the only fun that comes out of sitting someone else through the Twilight franchise, is getting to that moment in the final movie and seeing how they react. Seeing if they lose their goddamn minds. Everyone's just a little... Sorry, I went a little Joker there for a second. I didn't mean to. Holy heck. 40 minutes? That's how much time I spent on vampires? There wasn't anything else crazy that happened this week. I didn't do much. I finished my Christmas shopping. Did I do that this week? I did. Finished my Christmas shopping. I've just kind of been existing. Like, no one... I don't know. I've been doing my thing. What? I streamed again this past Friday, Saturday, and that was nice. I don't know what just happened. Suddenly trying to transition away from Lost Boys and Twilight broke my brain, I guess. There's just vampires everywhere. Oh my god. And that went well. The streams went well. I did enjoy it. It was nice. It felt good to get back to it after taking 2 weeks off. I didn't take off from the podcast, and I didn't take off from my just daily gaming stuff, but I took off from streaming. And it was nice to get back to it, genuinely. Like, I felt like I was having a lot of fun being able to play those games again. It's nice. It's really nice. I wish more people would watch, but I'm fine with the fact that I at least have some people watching. And I think that's how most people have to go and, like, see these things. It's like, yeah, you know, some people are watching and that's cool. Like, you don't have everyone, but you don't want everyone. Because everyone includes people that aren't cool. And you only want cool people, okay? What am I saying? December is a fun month. This is where I kind of set up what the next year is going to look like for the channel. That's what I did last year, at least. I kind of pre-prepped a bunch of stuff because people don't give you as many comments as you'd like to hope. And when they do, sometimes they give you games that you just cannot afford to get in the moment. And that's okay. Anywho, yeah, I've been doing a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes, a lot of things that I've been doing, and I just I enjoy. I enjoy my own personal moments, and I enjoy the other fun stuff. I'm working on getting a cord for a certain thing that, if I can get that, might expand my library of games that pop up on the channel. 100%. And I think that'll be pretty cool. I'm talking about it here because this is a better space to talk about it than in the midst of, like, murdering enemies or solving puzzles or whatever. Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Everyone, down in the comments, outside of telling me what else you want to hear me talk about, which, you know, tell me what you want to hear me talk about. Because I do enjoy talking about the things you guys want to hear about. But also, give some thanks over to Kingsley. I don't know how many people, like, know, but Kingsley is basically the graphic designer for the channel. Almost essentially, most images have been done by Kingsley. Every thumbnail that you see on every video, and I mean every video, that's Kingsley. This channel and on the gaming channel, it's all him. My post for my social media, that's all Kingsley. All of it's all him. The only ones that aren't Kingsley means that they're being done by Gretchen. Things like the banner or the actual, like, image for the gaming channel. Some of the stuff for the Twitch channel is also Gretchen, although it hasn't been seen, and I feel bad about that, but that's because streaming directly from the consoles means I don't get to use those images. But I want to, because I'd like to see their work get out there, because it's nice work. It's fun work. I like the art. Yeah. But so, in all honesty, give nice shout outs to both of them. Give shout outs to both Kingsley and Gretchen, because without them, the channel would not, none of my channels, none of the things that I do would really have, like, anything cool to them. It wouldn't be fun. You know, and it's nice that they're nice and fun and they've got their stuff. And if it wasn't for them, I would not have any sort of concise imaging to really stand out and be me. You know, so that's cool. So I'd like to end on that nice little happy note. With that, thank you guys so much for listening to the What a Thought podcast. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like and comment down below. Tell me to the game. I said games. That's the other. That's the other channel's outro. Tell me what other things you want to hear me talk about. You know, leave it down in the comments. Shoot it to me over on social media, which is in the link in the description, as well as the links to Twitch and the other channel. They're all down there in the one link. Thank you, Linktree, for that. Yeah, it's an honor. I really enjoy getting to do this. I didn't think this whole episode would be about Lost Boys and then Twilight at the very end. Yeah, it's been a lot. Hey, I'm still thinking about reading books. I meant to bring Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone back with me, and I forgot it. I forgot it, which is fine. But yeah, thank you guys again. I've been Matthew, and this has been the What a Thought podcast. See you all next week.